Welcome back, McFly subscribers. So today we're going to be tying the classic Hares Ear. Well, at least my version of it. I will discuss this fly later in the video, but in case you haven't seen this channel before, this is McFly Angler.
And it starts now.
So to start, place your hook and bead securely in your vise. For a hook, I'm using Resin's Barbless 9231 in size 16, which is a 2x long shank hook, very useful for beaded nymphs. And for the bead, I'm using Resin's gold-colored brass beads in size 2.8mm. We will also need some .015 size lead wire, and I find it handy to place it in a bobbin holder. Start by adding about 5 winds of lead wire onto the hook shank, and it's soft enough to just pinch it off with your fingernail. Then we push it up into the bead cavity to stabilize the bead. And of course, it will add a bit more weight as well. For thread, I'm using Viva's 6/0 in brown. Start your thread right behind the lead wraps, and then snip or snap off the waist. Then wind up through the lead wraps a couple of times. Then back down all the way to the bend of the hook. Now we need a hare's mask, and I like the natural color. Get yourself some sharp, fine point scissors like these mitten scissors by Resin Fly. By the way, these are awesome for the money, and they fit comfortably in the hand, and the tip is very fine, allowing you to get in tight to snip materials off very close. Okay, let's select a pinch of the fur right in the center of what you would say is maybe the forehead. You want a fair amount here. Pinch that tight and then cut it off from the hide. Now we will stroke out those loose fibers and underfur. As you notice, there are a lot of guard hair fibers in this, so make sure you save this fur as you will use it later in the fly. I like to pinch the tip of the fiber with my fingernail to make sure I'm grasping it firmly, and then stroke out as much of the underfur as possible. By the way, take a look at the dubbing we just made from doing this. This is really good stuff. Please keep it. Okay, now let's pull off the extra long fibers out of the front. Now let's measure out about a half a hook shank length for the tail. Then transfer that measurement onto your other hand and tie it down with a firm pinch wrap. Check how long the tail is, and if you made it too short like I did, here's a trick to be able to lengthen it. Just release that thread wrap tension and pull the fiber rearward slightly. Check it again, and when you're happy with it, make 2 to 3 tight wraps to keep it in place. Then I like to wrap under it to keep it elevated and straight. Start making wraps up the hook shank, but before you get too far up, snip off the excess fur, about to where the lead wraps end. Okay, now finish bringing your thread up to the bead, and then back down slightly. Now we need some tinsel, and this is an old spool of round tinsel. Maybe they call it oval tinsel, but I'm pulling a couple turns off this and snipping it off. This should tie about 4 to 5 of these flies. As you can see here, it isn't a flat tinsel. It has some depth to it. This is honestly kind of difficult to find these days, so if you want to use flat tinsel like this in a small size, that will work just fine. Gold wire works as well. Even pearl flashabou. Really, you can use anything that you can make a rib with. Okay, let's start this tinsel on the side of the hook shank, so it does not extend past the lead wraps. Wrap back down to the start of the tail. Now let's pinch off some dubbing from the hare's mask. Pulling off the fuzzies around the cut area means you will get less guard hairs. And you can see how fine this dubbing is. Dub this tightly onto your thread with a medium-sized noodle. I tried to taper the noodle also, making it thinner closer to the fly and thicker closer to me. Now let's start winding this noodle onto the hook shank. Start down by the tail and make touching wraps up the hook shank, ending with about a bead length space behind the bead. Then start winding on the tinsel with open spiral wraps to form the rib. Make these wraps as even as possible and stop when you reach your thread. Now, I made this abdomen a bit more bushy than I like normally. I guess my noodle wasn't as thin as I had wanted. So I will brush it out a bit, and then cut off the fibers slightly to thin out the abdomen. You really shouldn't have to do this, but I wanted to show you guys this technique in case you also get too thick of a body on the fly. Okay, now we need to build a wing case. And for that, I will use this pheasant tail. Select about a dozen of the fibers and loosely align the tips, and then strip them off the stem. Now, I like to cut off the fine tips and also the squirrelies as well. There's a natural curve to these fibers, so we will tie this down so the curve is angling upwards. Make sure that it is tied down directly on top of the fly and not canted to one side or the other. Then tie it back to about a third of the way down the hook shank, trying to keep the fibers spread out and flat. And then check to see if you're happy with the size of the wing case. Now grab some of that dubbing that you made with the guard hairs in it, and we want to loosely dub this onto our thread. Don't make a super tight noodle here, and you can also make this as thick as you want. Now we will create the thorax by wrapping the noodle fairly thick onto the hook, ending right behind the bead. And the guard hairs in this will create what look like bug legs. Now brush out the dubbing to extend out more of those guard hairs. With some wet fingers, stroke down the thorax to tease the fibers downward. Then pull the wing case up and over the thorax, trying to keep those fibers as flat as possible. Make one wrap over the fibers. Then use your thumb to spread these fibers out a bit to create a fatter wing case. When you're happy with the wing case, then tighten your thread and make another wrap or two over it to hold it in tight. If your wing case moves at all when wrapping, just tease it back to make it straight. When you're happy with the position, then pull the wing case rearward and wrap in front of it a couple times with tight wraps. Then trim off the waist as close as you can with some super fine point scissors. Pull everything back and out of the way and make a couple wraps to clean up the trim section. Then you can whip finish your fly. But end with your whip finish on top of the fly. You can see how the guard fibers really do look like bug legs, and this technique gives a nice taper to the fly. This fly is technically done, and you can finish it the way that it is. However, I like to add one more step which I think really improves this fly. That is to add a drop of UV resin, and the Solarez medium viscosity I feel is perfect. Pull down all the fibers by the wing case, and add a drop on top of the wing case, making sure it extends from the bead back to just behind the wing case, and even into the abdomen slightly. Use your bodkin to spread this out a bit, covering all the wing case fibers. The medium viscosity resin droops just the right amount to form a perfect wing case. When you're happy with the look, then zap it with your UV light and the fly is now finished. This Solarez resin cures quickly and there is no tackiness left. You can use a brush to brush out those fibers once again if you want, and use your fingernail to rip out any extra long fibers. That UV resin over the wing case not only looks great by enhancing the look of the fibers, but it also protects your whip finish and those fragile pheasant tail fibers, so this will be a much more durable fly as well. It really is quite amazing that you can tie such a great looking fly with just a rabbit head and a feather. The simplicity of this fly is why I believe it's been around for so long. From what I've read, it was created in the 1800s. Yet it is still very effective and popular today. You don't need a lot of materials to tie it, and it can mimic a wide range of different bug types. For me, I believe it represents a caddis pupa the closest. But as any true general purpose nymph, it can mimic a wide range of bugs. Mayfly nymphs, even stonefly nymphs, can be represented by this fly. And that is what makes it such a great general purpose nymph. Now I really do like using that hare's mask to tie these flies, but in recent years, people have moved to using pre-packaged dubbing to create this fly. I find, however, you don't get the same gradation of fibers when tying that way. The ability to pull mostly underfur, free of guard hairs for the abdomen, and then use the guard hair dubbing to create the legs of the thorax are what makes this fly so great in my opinion. Like I said earlier, you can use other products besides this round tinsel to rib the fly, and here is one where I used pearl flashabou for the rib. Alright, well I'm getting close to filling this general purpose fly box. For the month of March here, I have been tying a bunch of general purpose flies. Last week I tied the Copper John, and next week I will be finishing up this general purpose nymph series with the Prince Nymph. So make sure you're subscribed and hit that bell notification so you don't miss any future videos. Oh, and by the way, I do sell these fly boxes on Amazon with free shipping. They are waterproof, which keeps your flies dry and free from rust while not using them. They're also very thin, which means that they fit in most shirt pockets for a quick run out to the water. Or you can take many boxes with you, even a small chest pack, allowing you to organize your boxes by fly type, like this general purpose nymph box. Another awesome thing about these boxes are the pre-slotted silicone backs are self-healing, which means that even if you do poke them, they won't get all ratty like some of those foam back ones. I have a couple of these boxes I've used heavily for over 4 years and they still look great. I will link to my Amazon storefront below in the description section of this video if you're interested. Your purchase helps support this channel and also gets you some great fly boxes. Also, don't forget to check out my sponsor Risen Fly. They made the hooks I use today, but they also make some of the best fly rods and reels for the money I have ever used. Best off, they're offering you all a discount. So if you're in the market for a new rod or a bunch of hooks or beads, go to www.risenfly.com and type in McFly at checkout, and they'll give you 15% off of your first order with them. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please hit the like button. I will see you on the next video. Now you go catch some fish.